We got the stadium applause today. Thank you very much. And welcome. You have landed at Distill It, a 360-degree view of life in sports. My name is Wendy Rosenthal. I am your co-host today and every other Thursday at 1 p.m. on the West Coast. And joining me, as always, the only person in the world that could actually sit next to me in many different respects and still have a smile on her face.
Over and over again.
Over and over and over again, all the time, on the weekends. I am so grateful to have you here.
I'm extra effervescent thanks to the glories of soccer all around the world.
Oh my God.
Is making me just
say your name before.
It is constant. Eira Schwitzer.
Okay, thank you.
Schwitzer.
As you
a
can
good
hear,
time.
As you can hear, she is, well, as many of you know who watch the show, Eira is like her favorite sport in the entire world.
It's the best sport in the world.
Is soccer. My favorite sport in the world is football. So today we have proper football, American, no,
not
yours
soccer.
Is proper football.
Right, I said not soccer, proper football.
No, American football.
Football.
So today I'm very excited to say that we get to marry the two passions that we have. We do, because of the wonderful guest that we have invited on today, who is joining us all the way from not only England, but from the very tip of England. Well, like the sort of lower tip of England, because there's lots of tips. Sorry.
Yes.
Anyway, we're going to introduce our friend in just a moment, but Brian Smallworth is one of the founding members of the British American Football Association, as well as a head coach of one of its teams called the Cornish Sharks, and we are going to bring him on in just a moment to talk to him about.
And we're excited. We've been working on it a long time to get him on the show, so it worked out very well. Amazingly enough, he had the time today.
Exactly. We're very, very excited, and we hope you'll be excited too, because there's a lot going on with American football in other countries, and we can't wait to talk about that and some of the amazing things that Brian is doing to work with athletes who are a part of his team and around the league. Before we do that, we want to say hello to Tony, who is sitting in for us today, engineering. Hello! At the wonderful UBN Go studios here in
Tony was very excited watching the England-Norway game with me just before the show started.
We're getting there. Can you give me like a minute to talk about Colin and all of that?
Calling in and our company and all sorts of stuff.
Yes. The reason that we are sitting here before you today and every other Thursday is Eira and I are the very proud and excited owners of a company called the Distillery Inc. We work with athletes to help them repurpose their athletic intelligence into skills that they can use beyond their athletic career. And we're doing a lot of things that are very exciting around work with that and helping not only professional athletes make that transition, but also college athletes and hopefully sometime soon even younger, because it starts very young. But we are passionate about sports, and that's why we are here talking with you every other week.
Yes.
But we do like to talk less about what's going on the field, although we're going to in a moment, and what's going around sports. The stories behind the scenes, the stories that you might not even think to find out about, and we're very, very excited to be here today to talk with one of the leaders in one of those stories of overseas American football. But before that,
how do people call in or let us know what they're thinking?
You can do it two ways. You can share your comments with us on our Facebook pages, which you might be viewing us right now on, or you can dial in at 323-524-2599. Okay. You ready?
Yes.
Launch.
All that really matters is that tomorrow at 4 o'clock our time, Colombia plays against Chile. We must be sending all of our energy and prayers towards Colombia. This is very, very exciting, very anxiety-producing for me. But they have looked amazing.
They have looked amazing, I have to tell you.
The last two games weren't their strongest, but their first game against Argentina
was amazing.
Lord, have mercy.
Did you talk to our friend in Argentina? How was she devastated?
Well, it was interesting. The day after the game, they had that countrywide blackout.
Oh, I didn't know
Did you hear about that?
No,
the entire country went dark.
The whole country?
The entire country. And then parts of Uruguay, Paraguay, the neighboring countries. Yeah.
What happened?
I still don't know I haven't read as to how it happened.
That's because they lost to Colombia.
I'm telling you. I thought, how fascinating, because that was a huge game. I felt awful for her.
I know.
And then they're in the dark.
I know. It's kind of like the U.S. was playing Panama last night in the I'll never say it right, CONCACAF. CONCACAF. And, we have a good friend also who's from Panama, and it was kind of like, I was like, yay, the U.S. I mean, it didn't matter. The outcome really wasn't.
But I was very happy to see that the U.S. men's team is looking really good.
They are looking very good.
So, I mean, they've been through a really rough patch, as we know. So it's nice.
Now, can you update me, because the last couple of days I've been like not in the whole entire loop. Where's Nigeria in the Women's World Cup?
Okay. Right now, everything's just they're
out.
Yeah, it's
a whole new world. They went through, right?
They had gone through. Right now, it's Norway and England. Tomorrow is the big game, U.S. and France. Now, I mean, it's just.
What do you think?
It's everything. Africa Cup of Nations is underway. CONCACAF, Copa America, Women's World. I mean, just.
Every time you turn on the channel, it's soccer.
Unlimited. It's the best.
It is the best. Listen, my husband has been nonstop watching it. And
he's been watching it in Spanish on the Spanish
I know. We've been having the best time watching it in Spanish.
I told him that even if you have no idea what they're saying, you feel it.
It's so much better. By the way, it's so much better.
I know.
And when we've been in the car, we've been listening. This is a whole show about how to broadcast things. Yeah. We've been in the car listening to it as well.
Right.
There's such a difference between finding it on the Spanish stations and finding it on the American or the English-speaking stations, where it's like, oh, and he's doing this. Oh, it's a goal. It's a goal. Good goal. And the Spanish stations is like, goal.
It's the best. Forever it goes on. It's the best.
I mean, it's the best.
Not that the Brits don't have a really great way of.
The Brits are awesome.
They're awesome as well. But I'm telling you, Spanish is the way to go.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, so
we could talk about so many other things, but I think we should bring in.
I think we should, but I just want to say one more thing. Can you give me one, one, either disappointing moment or awe-inspiring moment from all of the things you've been watching?
Well, what I'm struggling with, and I have been struggling with for a long time, and I told you I was going to be struggling with as it sort of came to play, is VAR.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
It's VAR. I mean, it's just it's driving me up the wall, and I don't even get me started, because then the entire show will be dedicated to that. Although we should ask Brian about his thoughts.
I want to hear
on VAR. It really is doing a number on me.
All right.
Is changing the energy and the rhythm and flow of the game that should not be disturbed by something like this.
There have been a lot of goals that have been overturned in these tournaments.
I'm telling you.
All right, Brian, we're going to bring you on that note. Welcome. How are you? And we want to hear.
Welcome. Very good.
Big applause.
Big applause for Brian as well. He has earned it. Brian, before we launch in, can we get 30 seconds on your opinions on VAR?
If you care.
If you care. Can you do it in 30 seconds?
It should be scrapped. I don't think they should be using it because it takes away from the. For me, it takes away the sportsmanship.
Yeah,
it's I mean, any monkey could look at a screen. Do you know what I mean, and make a decision, but it shouldn't be in these great big tournaments. Yeah. I know they followed American football, but soccer's lost its way a little bit.
Yeah,
and they don't understand they don't understand it. And someone will make a decision, and I don't think they're qualified to actually make that decision.
Yeah.
And it spoils it. You watched that game the other day where I think it was Argentina, wasn't it? Argentina and someone.
Yep.
And they had to take the penalty again.
Exactly. It just completely affects the rhythm of the game. Really? It's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the ref and sometimes bad calls, all part of the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but by the way, I just want to say one quick thing. I don't want to delve into this, but there have been, like I said, a lot of goals overturned because of the offsides. Sure. So, I mean, I agree with you. I'm going to agree with you.
You better.
I am
today. You better agree with me. You're sitting 2 feet away.
I know how to preserve my life when it comes there. Yes. No, but I'm just saying, no, but the question I want to ask is like on those types of things where, it clearly was offsides.
Right.
Are there any aspects of it that you're okay with? Because it really is showing something that is a big miss or something like that, or no?
I'm not okay with it.
Okay, good. Let's move on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Brian, we want to welcome you to our show. We are so excited to have you here for a few reasons. One of which is for sure you were instrumental and still are instrumental in really bringing American football in a major way to the UK from a playing perspective, not just a watching and being a passive fan, but really to teach the sport to anybody who wants to learn and to create the league that now exists and you'll please give us all the information about how many teams in that, but you were instrumental in that. And so we want to hear your background, why you fell in love with American football, and how has the landscape for American football changed over the years since you started the league?
Well, I started, my father was working for the British government, and we ended up, my dad worked as an aircraft engineer on a project called the TSR-2, which was a Mach 2 fighter aeroplane. And it was scrapped because they turned around and said it needs to be scrapped. And they sent my father to General Dynamics to work on the F-111. And I did 5 years in Texas, and I loved it. And I'm like, oh, yes. And I should never forget the coach saying to me, Brian, you play football? And I went, oh, yes, coach, I do. And I turned up in my Chelsea kit.
Right. Exactly. I love it.
Laughed.
And, oh, by the way, can I just say Chelsea fan? Woohoo! Go ahead.
Well, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. My first home in London was about half a mile from the stadium. So I'm a big Chelsea fan.
Nice. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is, you know. It's I loved it. I really did love it.
So you showed up in your Chelsea outfit, and you're expecting to play what we call soccer, and the coach says to you,
yeah, and coach went, Brian, no, that's not it. And I'm like, all right, then, coach. So I tried out. I'd played rugby. I was a prop, so I was for a youngster, I was quite big. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it, like a duck to water. So I played running back, played some linebacker. I just wanted to hit people. And I enjoyed it. And when we had to come home, because my nan was, of course, quite seriously ill after a nasty accident, we came home. Well, there was no American football in the late 70s.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, so I ended up playing rugby again, and
where you can't hit people nearly as much as you can in football, right?
Well, no, you can't. It just, and I was playing at a fairly good league and decent level, and I wasn't enjoying it. And someone said to me in 1982, late 82, how'd you fancy setting up American football? And I'm like, oh yeah, come on. Yeah. And you'll hear loads of people say, oh, I was a founder member of American football. Oh, really? Well, what meeting did you go to? And they go, oh, we went to the Baden-Powell meeting. And that was actually the second meeting. The first meeting was in a storeroom. A guy called Max Randalls. There was about 6 of us sitting there. And we went, right, I'm going to have a team called the London Ravens. I'm going to have a team called the Northwick Spartans. And because I lived next to Heathrow, I thought of the name the Heathrow Jets. And
that's nice.
Very clever.
Yes.
Yeah. Someone said to me, why don't you call it the London whatever? And I went, that makes no sense. And I went, but the Heathrow Jets. So I formed the Heathrow Jets. It actually it exploded. Absolutely exploded. We had 300-400 teams. Every team had 60, 70 players.
Wow.
Yeah. And then you had the referees. You had huge amounts of referees. You had the American. It's all right. I'm moving around because I've been at work today and my legs are hurting. And, the guys, we had all the American influences on the base because we had all the bases. You had the base teams. You had the NFL come in. You had the USFL come over. I remember meeting Mr. Barrett from the USFL that owned the Tampa Bay Bandits. Nice guy. I think they were playing the Philadelphia Soul, I think it was. No, Philadelphia. Anyway, they were playing someone in London, and they had a full sellout, but USFL didn't survive. So we've had that. And then we had the World League. So there's been plateaus. So you had the World League in Europe, which gave everyone the taste, and then they took it away. And then there was a massive lull in American football for a while. And,
from a spectator standpoint or from a participation standpoint?
From participation and from a fan's, when you look at it in America and you go and watch a game, we don't have the facilities. That's what my friend's over for, because I want to show them the facilities that we don't have. And I'm not going to say to people, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to go, hey, these are the facilities we got.
Right.
this is what we would like, but we would like to get the investment. And that's why I'm doing so much going around the country going, hey, guys, you need to invest in the kids.
Right.
Because if you don't invest in the kids, you're going to have problems down the line.
So can
Yeah, sorry, go on.
No, I want to ask a couple questions. Yeah. First of all, so can you tell us today the state of the association, how many teams are actually playing, and how many participants you think in total there are?
There's a bit of a boost at the moment because everyone knows there's going to be an NFL team in London.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, I think it'll probably be the Jags. That's what people are saying. Someone said to me it'll be Tampa Bay. No way will it be Tampa Bay. They got too big a base over where they are. But you've got 160 what we class as senior teams, which is adults. Then you've got the youth teams, which is up to 19. Then you've got under 17s. Then you've got peewees. Then you've got the university sides where it's booming, absolutely booming.
I just want to say, I think it's totally fascinating. Think about that. Wild. The country of England is not ginormous. I think it's something like 55 million people in total. And you have 170 teams, you said. 170 playing around the country.
170. We're struggling with referees at the moment because they've got too big too soon, and they didn't think about the referee situation.
So hey, if you're looking for a job, I bet you could get somebody to fly you over to referee a few games. Right. Even if you want a summer vacation, if you're listening, calling all referees. But think about that. So it's 170 teams that are actively playing all across the country, right? And now you've got a university system. That's what I think is incredibly fascinating. Yeah. Okay, that the universities are starting to, I assume they're starting to have proper football teams in their athletic departments. Are they bringing people over on scholarship? No,
they've got some really good football programs, and some programs actually invest correctly into, when you look at some of the teams, they're really good. I would class them as lower NCAA standards. They're pretty good.
So like Division 2 or Division 3 team?
To Division 2 or Division 3, they couldn't compete against a Division 1 team and people would go, oh, yes, we would. Don't be so stupid. Be realistic. You've got to be realistic. It's like when you play soccer, be realistic. Look at what you've got. If you can't score goals, you're not going to win games.
Yeah, I was going to say, even the LA Galaxy could not probably compete against the likes of the Chelseas and the Man Cities and the Man U's and the Liverpools. Yeah. So let's be realistic.
Yeah.
No, and that's where you've got to have that vision of, guys, we've got to be realistic. You've got to make sure your welfare is correct. You've got to make sure, because if you've got welfare issues within your sport, like we've had with tennis, like we've had with soccer, like we've had with rugby, it gives a massive blow to the sport, and sport should be fun for everyone. And that's why when I work with the Navy, because I coached, hence I'm bright red, I worked with the Navy yesterday, and I worked with the phase 1s and phase 2s in the British Navy. So I take it to them as well, and I take it all over the place. And I just take the rules out. It's 4 goes to get halfway, 4 goes to score. And it's really fun. And that's what it should be.
So, can I ask, through the university system, so now I choose to go to one of the universities there that has a good program. What do I do after I graduate? Are people going into this? Is there a funneling system? Is there a way to say, look, I'm going to play only because it's in my head, Cambridge? I don't know if they have a team or not, but okay, so say Cambridge has a team, they're playing football, I graduate Cambridge. Is there any chance at all that I'm going to get into either a pro career or anywhere? I know there are pro teams around Europe.
Yeah.
Oh, there's loads. Germany is massive.
Yeah.
Germany's massive. Austria's massive. Italy's massive. I've been lucky. I've been around the world coaching, and when I coached in Denmark, they said, we need you to sort the worst team out in Denmark. And I'm like, yeah, all right then. And I was on the aeroplane on the Monday night straight out to practice. I trained till first Sunday morning, back on the first plane, back to coach my own team, took that to a national championship, back out to Denmark Monday evening, took them to a national championship, and it can be done. But you keep it basic. Too many people, they want to run stuff that they see on the telly, they see on Madden. Look at your athletes. I've been pretty lucky with some of the coaches I've worked with, like Coach Jim Wacker down in TCU. I spent 5 years with Jim. Fantastic coach. Noel Mazzoni, who's here next week. And Ray Wilsley, Ray Wilsley from the Oakland Raiders. I worked with Ray for 3 years, and he taught me a lot. And, it's quite interesting listening to the stories, like Jack Elway. I worked with Jack Elway. These guys, they came over, Jim Grider, they came over and they worked over here. And I was always like a sponge. And people used to say to me, why'd you go on all these coaching courses? And why'd you do that? Because I want to be up to speed with everything. Yeah. So, and then when I coach the kids, I teach them the basic fundamentals. But it's also about manners. It's also about, because they don't have much parenting really over here. It's kids with kids.
So we want to talk a lot about what you're doing with kids, but I just want to get your opinion about, again, you've got you've got all of your football leagues and clubs where you've got 170 teams playing across the country. You've got the university system. You've got Pee-wees. Now it's developing at the younger kid age. Where do you and the possibility and the strong possibility of an NFL team coming to London in the near-ish future? How, just give us your prediction for the kind of the where you see American football being in the UK in the next 5 to, let's say, 10 years?
Well, at the moment, we've got a predicament that's come up. This year, we've always had Americans in the game. And we had, you was allowed 99 Americans.
For a total of the 100.
Of the squad, you could have as many as you want.
Okay.
So if you had a squad of 150 and you had 150 Americans, you could have 150 Americans. So, it wasn't really fair on the teams that could not afford Americans, that were not able to get Americans to be on part of their team. So they have come up with this fantastic ruling that they found, which was buried in paperwork, that unless you've got a work visa, unless you're at university, you can't play in the British League.
Okay.
I think that's wrong. I think they should just go, we'll give you 3 Americans like it used to be. And you could have 3 on offense, 3 on defense. And it works. The standard of football was really, really good. And we had some really good Americans come over. Henshaw Walker, personal brother.
Yeah.
He came over. He was really nice guy, and we've had loads of top. Von Shepard, that was out of Oklahoma.
Yeah,
he came over. Good running back, nice guy. They're all nice people, but they're trying to level the playing field, and I think it's detrimental. But hey ho, that's how it goes. It's not for me to. I think they will make a different decision at some stage, but. It's just how it is. But if you want to come and play football, you come and play football at university, and if you get yourself a job or you get a work permit to stay here, you can play. So it's making sure, and it's all about immigration at the present stage. So that's why they've tightened up on the rule.
Well, but even if it's not having Americans play, I mean, do you see the passion for the sport growing so much that that there could be a real, like the Canadian Football League, a British Football League that is more, I don't want to say you guys aren't organized, but where there is a better facilities, owners putting more money into the teams, developing the players.
There's stuff going on like that at the present stage. There's arena football that's have been talking. You've also got the talk of a pro league over here for Brits. So it's quite exciting times. I mean, we've got I think it's another 15 teams coming into the league as an associated process. So there is a massive interest.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So, and I think it just needs people to come in that's got the right attitude, with the commercial skills and the commercial money, and you could set up a pro league, boom, tomorrow, done. That's so simple. It's that simple.
Yeah, maybe get somebody to invest in the existing league that's already there.
The infrastructure's
there.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally agree. Yeah,
right.
Totally agree.
All right, well, I'm going to start looking because I want it to be there.
So, Brian, you mentioned earlier that you're teaching your players more than just the game. Can you talk to us a bit about how you're using the sport of American football to truly transform some of these players' lives?
Oh, yeah. I mean, where we are in Cornwall, it's very rural.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And Noel will turn around and tell you when he whenever you speak to Noel, it's a beautiful part of the country. But in the winter, it goes down to about 400,000 people, I think it is, they were saying. But it's one of the poorest areas in Europe. And over the summer, we get 5 million people come to Cornwall. There's so much money down here that's been invested in second homes and stuff like that, that the kids don't get the opportunity of buying homes and stuff like that. So, so the first problem we've got is that for a 16-week period, which has only just started, everyone can get a job. After that 16 weeks, everyone's unemployed. And that's a real, there's certain villages in Cornwall that as soon as the holidaymakers come down, they take it over. And when they go, there's no locals in the village at all. And they have to shut the schools and stuff like that. So there's a detrimental effect that's going on. And we're not the only place. Scotland's got the same in other areas. But for me, working with the kids, some of these kids don't even know manners.
Sure.
They don't even know manners, and I get called by probation, I get called by schools. Then they say, Brian, we've got 15 of the worst kids that we've ever had. Will you work with them? Yeah, I will. And I'll go in and I'll say to them, right, I'm here because no one else wants to work with you. Look, I'm 106 years of age. You're going to have to help me put this cone. So I do that, and I say to them, you're going to have to help me out because I'm so old. I can't do this. I can't do that. And the kids are going, oh, I'll do it. So they do that, and I've got different coloured shirts for them and stuff like that. So I invested my money into a thing called Shark Attack, and I take it, and all it is 4 goes to get halfway, 4 goes to school, and that's it. And the kids love it because they make their own plays up, and it's really, really simple. But you see some of those kids, they're very, very challenged, very, very challenged. And you've got youngsters that are transgender that no one, they've got problems there. You've got other bit. It's not a problem. And I put 4 cones down, and that's the naughty box. And if you swear or you're out of order, you go in the box. And they stand there and they go, Coach, can I come out? Coach, can I come out? If you're going to swear, no. And they go, I promise I won't swear. And that's it. So I do it probably once a session or once every group. And I don't have to do it again because they know that the rules are. And then they pick up the stuff. They help. Someone comes in. They go, hello, how are you? Nice to meet you. Whereas normally when they get to about 17, 18, they just go,
Well,
I was going to say
that's a problem here as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think
it's a very wealthy communities, just so you know.
Well, yeah, no, I think, no, I really think it's a great point, Eira, and I want to raise that because I'm sitting here as you're talking
about this all the time.
All the time, I'm like sitting here going, Brian, can I have you come over to my house for about a week so that you can get?
I'd love to.
No, please, no, but I think the interesting point here is that in Cornwall, yes, you definitely have a huge economic issue that is affecting people probably like on a surface level that exists in any big city like Los Angeles, but it's dispersed around different neighborhoods where this is concentrated in a very large area of the UK. but I think what's so fascinating and what's so important, Brian, and one of the reasons we wanted to talk to you is, look, you're taking these kids on, but you're using the sports angle, your years as being a coach in sports, and using sports and gameplay as a way to elevate the self-confidence of the children, to give them a sense of, we always talk about how kids want boundaries. Giving those boundaries. I think what Eira is saying is that it is super important to highlight and this is why we are so passionate about sports.
And seeing sports as a metaphor for life, because it really is, that's part of the beauty, is that he's using the game to socialize these kids.
Right.
And we forget that beyond winning and being a great player, and to know what it's like to be a part of a team, to commit to someone, to something that isn't just about you.
And to have a coach committed to you.
And to have a coach committed to you. And that if there's nothing else in your life going on that really supports you in a healthy way, that you've got this one place you can go to, and that when you show up there, here are the boundaries.
Right.
Here are the ground rules. And you don't have to wonder. You don't have to be caught off guard. This is your safe zone. It's an amazing place to be.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I say, no drugs. No drink. Gang-free zone.
Sure.
That's it. And I don't care whether you're with this gang or you're with this town or with that. When you're with me, that's it. That's the boundary. Hey guys, let's enjoy this. And they do enjoy it. And I have kids come to me from soccer, from basketball, that have got problems. And I just say to them, well, it's not really an issue, is it? Because the coach doesn't understand you. And then I speak to their coach and he goes, oh, he's this, he's that. I went, whoa. Obviously, why are you coaching if you don't like kids? That makes no sense.
Exactly. That's the first problem.
I mean that is a massive problem. And you do find in sports, there are some coaches that don't like the younger generation.
Right.
And some coaches still like to coach the old-fashioned way of beasting. You can't beast kids. You can't run them.
Yeah.
Because they're coming free of charge. They are traveling in Cornwall anyway. They're traveling long distances on the bus, running. Some kids run to practice. And I'm like, hey, guys, you can't run on your own. So they now got 4 or 5 that run together as a group to practice from one town to where we train.
Sure.
And, and I say to them, guys, just relax. That's all it's about. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Sports should be fun.
Yeah. I want to pick up on something just very quickly from a coach's perspective, Brian. Like, why does a coach still coach if the coach doesn't like coaching kids or young adults?
Because he's getting paid.
Yeah.
Because he's getting paid. And, you've got some school teachers that are that coach kids that they're getting paid. They're not really interested in the kids. I see them all the time where they're supposed to be evaluating the kids. They're on their iPad and they're more interested in that.
Yeah.
I understand that if you're working with kids, it can be a problem, but I don't get paid. I have to raise my own money so I can go and do this. I'll go and find a job or sponsorship. I mean, I had the butcher shop. I gave that up.
That was the other reason we love you.
Yeah.
Is how to butcher meat.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I'll help you a butchery program if you'd like.
So for those that I don't want to pass up on that point, for those who are listening and want to support what you're doing, how can they do so?
Contact you guys first, please. And then we can then discuss if you've got, I had to beg, steal, and I wouldn't say beg, steal. I say beg and borrow.
Sure.
Equipment for the kids, and we do have systems where you can get grants and stuff like that. But you have to jump through so many hoops, and some of these kids, they can't even write their own names. So that's where Sharon comes in, and she does the welfare and she looks after the kids.
Sharon, who's your wife, just for those who don't know.
Yes. And she's my rock.
I also think this conversation highlights something else that we talk around and we haven't really focused on it as a show per se, but the idea of organizations or people like Brian who are trying to use sports as a way of elevating and transforming, human beings who are struggling,
right, and communities as a
whole. Like, why are governments not putting more into that when the result would probably be probably less money having to be put in prison systems and judicial systems and that whole police state type of thing. Why are companies who are so concerned about their corporate profiles not investing in these types of programs whereby maybe the skills, because we talk about this all the time, that the skills of an athlete can be easily transferable into excellent skills in the workplace.
Absolutely.
So I'm very curious, Brian, from your perspective, do you have an opinion as to why it's such a struggle, or why it doesn't seem to be something that's high on agendas of those who control investment into these types of programs?
Because it doesn't affect them. unless those kids, live next to them, it doesn't affect them. So they don't care.
Right, out of sight, out of mind.
They come down on holiday. Mm-hmm. They ain't going to see these kids because the kids don't actually go to those areas because they can't afford to go to those areas.
Got it.
And they're not welcome on the beach. Why? Because they're troublemakers. They're not troublemakers. It's there is that money divide, and I've talked to many people that have got money, and I said to them, why don't you just work with the kids? And I'm like, yeah, but why? And I'm like, well, don't it feel like you're giving something back? Nah, I don't need to. If I sponsor something, I get money back off my tax, and that's all they. And I'm like, oh wow. So it's a bit of a gutter, that one, but there are people over here that are helping me. People like Brock, that was in the US Air Force. I've known Brock a few years, and he runs a company called Cornish Partnership, which is like 500 Cornish companies. And he's been brilliant helping me network and getting guys and people in Cornwall to, bang the drum for us. So we can actually, I had someone say to me a little while ago, I can give you water. Perfect. I don't care how much water you give me. Just give me water,
Right.
But these kids the kids just need something, and it's, there's a lot of top athletes and famous people out there that have got money. And if they were to come and see some of these kids, we spend billions giving money abroad to projects and stuff like that. We've got enough problems in the UK. And what I want to do, my ultimate goal, and this, is to build an academy, and it's going to be a residential academy where kids can come from London, from Manchester, from all over the place, that have never seen the sea. Never seen the sea. They wouldn't even know what the sea looked like, and that would stop half your crime, because you bring them down individually, you make sure that they know the rules, and just make sure that you've got the right people that actually care about what you're doing, working for you, to make sure the kids, because the kids, they can suss you out straight away. I mean, I'm covered in tattoos, and I did a thing on drug and steroid abuse in sport. I was on the international committee for it.
Yeah.
And a man stood up in front of all these kids in a suit, and the kids looked at him and went, oh my word. And I stood up and I said to them, it'll ruin your life. And then I showed them what a bit of rage was, unexpectedly. And they were like, oh my God. And I said, that's what you could be like, because drugs, certain steroids that you're using will make you paranoid, will do this, will do that.
Right.
It's later in life, your ligaments, your other bits and pieces. I was South East London's strongest man once. Now I struggle to pick up a Hoover.
Yeah. A Hoover, for those of us who are American, is a vacuum cleaner.
A vacuum cleaner.
No.
We know.
We knew. I just wanted to put some context around it because it's one of my favorite words. I love that.
I feel like someone has got to reach out to Prince Harry. I mean, how can the royal family not be doing something about this issue in the UK? And Prince Harry's got the Invictus Games. I mean, he clearly cares about sports.
But it's more military focused.
Yeah, they
sport.
do. I mean, your military have been brilliant. Our military, I mean, I've been working with our soldiers, Navy, Air Force and Marines for years. And those guys, I take my hat off to them. You know, they're there and then they go off, they fight. And then, you know, they might get injured. They have post-traumatic stress. I deal with a lot of guys who've got post-traumatic stress. I've got it. Yeah, you're not going to catch it. I'm dyslexic. It's not a sexual disease. You're not going to catch that either. Do you know what I mean? So, and when I lecture on dyslexia, I say to people, how do you spell farm? And they go, F-A-R-M. And I'll go, really? I've always spelled it E-I-E-I-O. And it breaks the ice. And, you know, they go, oh, this guy's got, you know, he's not stuck up. And that's how it comes across. You know, I was a doorman for 15 years. I was a bodyguard for 5. I know how to talk to people. Yeah. I know how to, and I think that's the key is, and I'm teaching my coaches how to deal with youngsters. We do a thing called listen, which I think is fantastic, where you listen to them.
Right.
But you know, as a coach over here, because of the welfare issues, you've got to have 2 coaches. When you're listening to these kids, I have to listen. I have to have another coach with me. So no allegations can be made about you.
Sure.
That's how we have to cover ourselves. And some coaches go, really? You got to be joking. Yeah. It could ruin your career.
I think the bottom line is what is extremely highlighted again in this part of the UK that is for me, it almost feels like it's one of the ski resort towns, I'm sure, in the United States where, you know, you get the seasonality and there's such a disparity between high times and low times is really reflecting what is happening in not small, but lower end markets around the world, in communities that are, you know, where jobs are not flourishing, where you have crime and where you have poverty. And the interesting thing to me is sport is such a way to solve some of this. And, you know, it's like, as much as I want to support Brian, I want to support all the Brians.
Right.
You know, and it just feels like
loads of us all over the world.
Exactly. And it feels like there should be a way to kind of band sport together to make sure that if there is a desire or a need for a way to use sports to help elevate the lives, and I don't want to just say kids, I think it's the lives of adults as well, because I know, Brian, you know, and I want you to, because we're seriously almost time to go, I want to spend a couple of minutes talking about the Cornish Sharks, because just as an example, even though your team is a team in the British Football League and it has a business around it, the people that play oftentimes are not professional athletes. They have day jobs. It's not like the NFL, and that you have adults that are also coming through the system who are using sports to help elevate their thinking. Is that not correct?
Oh, that's totally correct. And our motto is one team, one family, one dream. And that, you know, I've got guys that have got post-traumatic stress. I've got guys that have got personality disorders. I've got guys that are going through emotional, you know, relationship breakups and stuff like that. And it affects the way they play. You know, you've got players that their wives are not well.
Sure.
You know, that affects the way they play. They've got a job to go to. They've got, you know, and it's not like America, where you can say, right, we're training X number of days a week. We train for the Sharks on a Wednesday. And I asked the guys, when would you like to train on a Sunday? Because everyone's off on a Sunday. And they went, can we train in the mornings, coach? And I said, why? Well, we can go shopping with the wife and we can see the kids, and we get brownie points, and it makes it a bit easier at home for me to be at home. And so that's what we do. We do 10 till 1 on a Sunday, and we have a great time. We have music playing. We have, it's great, and I'm going to show Noel exactly the projects that I've got, and he's going to meet all the guys. He's going to meet some of the guys that have got problems. And he's got, and I said to him, I want you to be honest. I want you to talk to Noel, and I want you to say, how you actually feel.
Yeah.
How it's helped you, how it's saved you.
Brian, can you tell our audience who Noel is?
Noel Mazzoni, offensive coordinator for Arizona University. He was a friend of mine at TCU under Coach Wacker. He went to New York Jets, but then, hey ho. I'm a Cowboys fan. Sorry, I'm a Cowboys fan.
Oh my God, I almost can't talk to you anymore. I can't stand the Cowboys. Being an LA Ram, fan for my whole life, I cannot ever like the Cowboys, no matter what.
Oh well.
And because Troy Aikman played for them, and he played for UCLA, and Eira and I went to USC, so there's just many reasons why Dallas can't talk about that. But
I think we can keep going on this, and Brian, clearly we have to have you back on the show to keep talking some more. But because it's such a hot topic, it's such a controversial issue here in the U.S., I have to quickly just get your opinion on the whole issue around concussions and the way the game is played.
Glad you brought that up.
Oh, good.
You've got 2 minutes.
Right, I've met a young man in the UK, and he's a bit of a whiz kid. This kid, he's got some equipment which I'm going to use, and I'm going to bring towards the governing body, and I want the governing body to use it. And it's a concussion awareness. It's on a laptop. It will actually show you, this program will show you whether you've got concussion or you haven't. And I'm like, where have you been? And he's like, well, no one's interested. I went, really? Son, stay with me. I'll make sure. I'll bang the drums for you. Everyone will get to see you, because I think it's so important that someone that's got concussion, we can pick it up, because it ruins so many lives later on down the line, and I've had players with the Sharks say to me, you can't stop me playing. I went, yeah, I can. You've had too many concussions. You're done, son.
Isn't that amazing? I just want to say something quickly. I think we need to have a whole show about this, and I'd love to invite Brian back.
Absolutely.
But how interesting, that's one of the issues, is that players want to play despite the risks.
Right.
And that's part of the argument. And that's what's so interesting. There's only so much that you can do, to stop. I always come back to, if you're a kid and you have a passion for football, your parents can say no all they want. But at some point, if you're going to play because you want to play, you're going to do it. Yeah. So let's figure out how to make it safe.
The coach and the owners should be big enough to go, we have this, I know you want to win. I know you want to win at all costs, but there is the cost of a human life. Have they seen someone that's had their brains smashed to pieces and is like a vegetable at the end of it? I have, and it's not very nice. Right. And I think that, when you get these people to say, no, we win at all costs, well, then I think we should find someone that's got the same problems, the brain injuries, and take them in their office and you have a conversation with this individual, because you can't. Yeah. You can't. They're paraplegic, they're this, they're that. It's not their fault. It's because they were told, let's have one more play out of you. Let's do this. Let's do that.
Do you think?
I'm giving you an extra bonus.
Do you think, Brian, that we'll see a shift, whether it's in how the game is played or even simply changing the types of helmets that are being used, so that we can avoid?
I think there will be a shift. I think there will be a shift. I think there will be a massive change in the style of the helmets, because it's got to be. I've been doing USA football. I'm now a master coach and stuff like that. And we talk about heads up football. We've gone through that. We've gone through the other bits and pieces. But rugby, they show it. They do it a different way. But so players come from rugby, come to American football, and we have to train them completely different.
Sure.
But I think they will. I think once the lawsuits hit them, you're going to have to change.
Yeah,
you're going to have to, and you've got a duty of care. Yeah, doesn't matter whether you're, the Timbuktu University or one of the big universities in the NCAA and the Pac-10. Right. Doesn't matter. You've got a duty of care.
let me tell you something. If the NFL were forced to pay for the care of all the athletes that have had been injured during their time in the NFL, if they had to pay for it out of their pockets,
their care and the consequences to their families.
Yeah,
because
then
as we know, there are
they
a
would
lot of
change
issues
it.
that come about.
Well, they'd have no hair like me.
Yep. Well, on that note, no. Listen, Brian, we're so happy to have you today. Thank you so much for your insight and for your energy and your joy for a sport that is very near to my heart, and I know Eira loves it too. So it's not as big as soccer, but it's in there.
Football.
Football.
It's there.
We hope to have you back again, and again, for anybody who has heard the story and who wants to help in any way, shape, or form, whether it's kit or equipment or a contact of somebody that can help Brian and his work with the youth of the area of Cornwall, please get in touch with us. You can find us at thedistilleryinc.com. You can find us on Facebook also at The Distillery Inc. We are here every other Thursday. You can download our shows on your favorite podcast platform, including iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, CastBox, and Stitcher. And as always, we are so grateful that you are with us, for tuning in, for sharing the stories. Thank you, Tony, for everything. Thank you, UB&Go, and we will see you all in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, 2 weeks. Thank you, everyone.
Enjoy your summer. Enjoy football.
Thank you very much.